Because think about at this time of the substantial education and society change, 7 years period may be the outer parameter. That is basic kind of what they doing in Australia, and what about for us and nowadays? And this book came out is like around 1998, and really I know at the time, so still globalization is a work, and then not like this about in this level, and technologies and social medias and all things are kind of accelerating what changes society, right? Maybe this long time ago, maybe at the time it's maybe takes maybe every 7 years, maybe now it's every 5 or 4 years, and we gotta kind of monitor the program and then and evaluate the program, mean the curriculum, and then change the curriculum. That's why without monitoring, then sometimes we don't know how we are doing, but monitoring kind of provides the to when we need to do evaluation. Maybe we can set early, like maybe we maybe we develop newly curriculum, a new curriculum and we can maybe every 3 years we can see with monitoring, and we can evaluate every 3 years, maybe every 5 years, like this. Evaluation is not just a quick process. That's why we gotta observe enoughly, and maybe when we start the kind of evaluating, we don't know how long take it, right? Maybe whole year, 6 months to years, and usually think about compare with the research papers, and usually when someone is trying to write the research papers, it's not complicated with others, but still 3 months, almost 3 months, if you see all interviews, all kind of things, and it's not a short process. So we gotta know that it's a long process, and then that's why monitoring is really important. And then when we do the evaluate, so we have to make it worthy, right? And so they say every 7 years, and then maybe he said every 7 years. So usually 7 to 10 years, but he suggests every 7 years, maybe the outer parameter. But as the situation changes with the time, like think about societal circumstances and different types of students, like millennials and Gen Z and X generation, baby boomers, totally different. And technology is different, right? And maybe I don't know that you guys know the OHP, overhead projector. My kids, they are in mid-20s, and they school kind of used it. That's why they know the overhead projector. Like nowadays, nobody uses the overhead projector. So when I was in like junior high school and college, sometimes they use overhead project, and then a lot of time no PowerPoint and no overhead project, because especially I came from the rural area, not much technology benefits and all stuff. So and think about how society changing now. And I don't know, maybe I don't know how old you guys are, but my kids are always they are was kind of late 90s and born late 90s, but still they said 2000s already, and they are totally different from us. They are different generations. maybe the late 90s kind of transactional generation from millennial to Gen Z. And anyway, remember that societies keep changing and changing. That's why we gotta monitor the curriculums, and then we gotta kind of know that what's the society need. Sometimes we don't do anything with the curriculum, and then society changes. It's outdated and it's not relevant. Our education is not relevant to society. And then always the part of the purpose of education was equip the student to fit into our society. So a lot of experience suggests that the constant monitoring curricular is kind of a rarely achieved consistently at school level, but after several years operation, and then probably the curriculum curriculum is no longer appropriate as previous, and substantial adjustment may be needed, required, right? That's why that's monitoring. And then you're gonna go jump into what? Evaluation process, right? So maybe you just implement a new program, a new curriculum, and then 1 year, second year, third year, and then depends on how you set up the kind of bring the whole curriculum evaluation to the table, and on the table, and then maybe every 4 years, maybe for me, and every 5 year, 4 years kind of decent. Even though I'm not a special expert in kind of education, but still consider it as a societal change. So monitoring is really important, okay? Monitoring is really important. What about, we already talked about evaluations, and then monitored, and then we gotta see the evaluation, and then we gotta see the curriculum models, and then what kind of, based on your curriculum model, how can you implement, right? And there's one thing that we already learned about that one, and then let's see, and then we had evaluation, and then we use different curriculum models, and his model is not the regional model. He uses cycle model, right? Cyclical model for the curriculum, and then that's why we follow the cyclical model and keep going, not the logic, right? And then it's a little bit same as the rational model, but still they always think about situational analysis, a little bit different. And there's what's the dynamics of the let's think about the dynamics of the curriculum change. What is the curriculum change? What is the change in concept? What do you think about the word change? Sometimes really uncomfortable, right? We are used to do something, but we gotta change, but it's uncomfortable. What else? Cost. What else? A lot of work, times, energies, conflict. Maybe there's a lot of issues there, but what about the other side? Hope, expectations, what can be better? What can make it effective like this, right? So change is kind of used in education to incorporate number of associated concepts like innovation and adoption, like a lot of concepts, right? They related, and then to analyze, explain about curriculum phenomena. So this is this is kind of what is the curriculum about, and how can we analyze, how can we explain, and then that's a kind of word kind of about drove to change. That's why change is kind of the term is used a lot in education, maybe, and innovation and adoption. So change is the process of transformation of phenomena in analyzing their transformation. It is useful to consider dimension of rate, scale, degree, and significance, and directions. So we cannot change it to bad. Always we are expecting that it's better, right? It's kind of partially changes and totally changes, and depends on if you change, it's gonna be different from the past. That's why it's a transformation. So it is useful to consider the dimension of a rate, scale, scope like this, and degrees, and then significance and direction. So that is change got involved in. So when you change something and consider this area, right? How much degree you can do it, and how much was what level degree, and it's really significant. The level of significance, and then what's the orientation? So what's the directions, orientations? It's towards the student or towards the teachers, like this, right? And here is one way the innovation. Innovation means that what's either object, idea, or practice which is perceived new, and also process which the new object, idea, practice, or practice become adopted. Right? It's kind of innovation is kind of a little bit different idea and practice, and that's why people are not used to and new things is uncomfortable, right? But that is kind of adopt and try to use it. That's innovation and change, right? That's innovations. There's a couple of different process to change and different terms, and then we can see what it's about. And there is diffusion. One of the way to change the diffusion. Diffusion is a process concerned with this is related to education, right? Remember that. If you use this terminology in different disciplinary and academic area, and maybe different. So, diffusion is a process concerned with the spread of a new idea, deliver new idea and object and practice from the point of original to its adopter. Right? Okay. Here is, I read about diffusion theory because it was related to cultural change, and then a little bit, concept is a little bit different, but it's the same as a spread a new idea and object and practice. It was about how can women use a contraceptive in kind of developing countries. How can we do kind of a user diffusion theory? Yeah, that is I read about it, and that's why there is a point of origin, and there is adapters there, and then how can we implement a new idea to them and take and practice? But diffusion kind of implies neutral was the action. It's not kind of a forced, it's not kind of reinforced, rather. And the neutral action by innovators, developers, adopters. So maybe they can take it, they will not take it. So the innovation, the diffusion, so that the means the spread of the innovation by natural means, like such as word of mouth, right? You don't give any neutral, you don't give any specific things, right? But here is a little bit different from the diffusion, but still same dissemination, kind of a change, and dissemination is the same, kind of new, spread a new idea, and then the object and practice from origin to the adopters, right? But dissemination is more specific than the diffusion, with the emphasis on delivery and goal-oriented and activities. Okay, there is a specific, it's not a neutral. And so it's carried out by changing agent to facilitate it, to adopt the innovation. It means that dissemination is really a lot of effort by kind of but it's a changing agent, right? Changing agent. There is a changing agent is there. That's why he difference about diffusion and dissemination. This diffusion is kind of a natural process by mouse to mouse, but this one is maybe specifically there, and then maybe there's a facility as an agent is there, and then you can go out and talk to them, and then do a lot of stuff, right? Think about compare the diffusion and dissemination, which one is maybe effective, and maybe if you use a dissemination, and then we can use you can reduce a lot of amount of time. We can kind of escape the try and error less than kind of diffusion, right? It's very clear. And there is a changing agent. What is a changing agent is the really significant individual who kind of a group, individual or groups involved in process of facilitating change through the establishing communication link between developers and client. Right? They are the changing agents between the developers and client, and then facilitate the changes. Here is the outcome, and then we want to develop here. Here's a outcome statement here, and then there's schools here, and then teachers here, and then how can mediate between the developers and then schools, right? Teachers, the changing agent. The agent is facilitated, right? And kind of adjusted. So, changing agent seek to bring about changes to the effective leadership or participation in the change process. So, it's really important. It's really important. What about adoptions? Adoption said that refers to the initial acceptance of innovation. Initials, beginnings, initial acceptance of innovation, and it raised to acceptance, kind of implementing written system, and right? we gotta adopt it and then we implant it in the system. So adoption of innovation is that's a first stage, and then what is the second stage of adoption? Maybe what is the changes of progress involving in sequence needed and adoption and implementation, and finally institutionalization. Institutionalization. So that's the kind of established second phase of that's adoption, right? And that's a basic terminology that we need to understand and know. I don't know. So I took a picture of the figure 10.1 in the last chapter, the source of curriculum changes, and then here is curriculum change because there is kind of change in society. Society. Change in society and policies changes and practice are changed, right? Maybe indirect effect and there's a direct effect, right? And what about the change in education? Maybe education policy change and practice change, maybe directly and indirectly. So you can see the kind of the rectangles, 4 rectangles divided 4 sections, and change in society indirectly, and change in education indirectly, this top, and bottom squares in what? And change in society what? Directly, and change in education directly. So that is the kind of a scale that we can kind of diagramize to see the changes, right? And then you consider the scales. That is a pretty and important why they need scale and which parts, and then you can see the middle, and then your evaluation, and then maybe because of the maybe society changing and directly the main cause, and then maybe changing in educations, and that's the main cause. That's what is the main causes and to draw the changes. We can see that one. That's Silkback, Skillback made kind of a diagram in 1984. Here is the curriculum change process, and then we talk about the need of the curriculum change, and then because of the society, changes in society and changes in education, both directly and indirectly. So, and part of it, the part of the purpose of education was to equip the student to fit into the society, right, with the knowledge and skills. That's why we're gonna really see how society is changing, how education system is changing, right? And then we can jump into the curriculum change process. What kind of process we have to go through to change the curriculum, right? And we gotta see the need, what kind of need we can see. And there is a specific need. And there is a express need problem. Is there? And if we don't have, you can see the figure, chapter 2 is educational change process, and then if we see that there is a need, and then we're gonna figure it out. And then what is the initial process is kind of installing mean that we gotta kind of there is kind of what kind of things we can adopt, what kind of solution we can adopt, and then what we gotta implement, right? Adoption process, kind of acceptance and then implement, right? So we already talked about adoption and initial, just to accept, and then we gotta establish it. Then we call the institutionalizations and the process. And then what kind of change we're gonna method we're gonna use it? Right? So diffusion or what about dissemination? Which one is better for, right? And once we talk about and then changes and then how can we implement the our need. There is implementation is and then we need kind of when you implement it, sometimes program it's the same as other things. Strategy for enhancing change. How can we what kind of strategy we can use to enhance the change? That's what we need to think about. What about the characteristic of the innovations? What kind of innovation we are doing? So if you diffusion or dissemination, which one we're going to use it, right? And what is the characteristic? And maybe if you use diffusion and then it's a natural way kind of deliver the knowledge and techniques and practice, right? Object kind of stuff. And then what are the diffusion or dissemination, and then there is a specific goal and direction is provided, right, by the agent. Here is what about another one? So when you implement and think about the organization culture. Some organizations are really slow to adopt a change. Some organizations really renovative and then they just move quickly, right? Like older generation, most organizations, they don't like a change. They want to stick with their system that they are used. But new generation, they want to try to this one and this one, that one, and try to find out which one is best. Not all the time, but one of the examples. So we gotta know the internal nature of organization. What's the nature, characteristic, and organization culture, right? That is really important though. It means that organization may be schools, what kind of environment. I know even though they follow the policy and law, but there's who are leading the school? There is principal is there, vice principal is there, and administrators there, and the teachers there. They are kind of creating the school culture, right? What about the characteristic of a broader social context? And I told you about what about parents? Or what about the demographic of your children and parents? What about the socio-economic levels? What about the education, the education, how much they want to have a passion for education, right? All kind of, think about the broader social context and parents and this area, like I live in Solidos, and what is the Solidos cities, and what about the demographic of students, and the demographic of Solidos, and then what about LA County? We belong to LA County, but very close to LA County, Orange County. That's why when we consider all kind of stuff and maybe with the strategy, with the consideration, maybe we can have a smooth change. Yeah, curriculum change, right? And then when we kind of implement and there is kind of still evaluation, monitoring process, you can see and keep going and going, and then what? Getting the program is kind of institutionalized and then continue and continue, right? Yeah, that is a kind of process that Print suggested. Yeah. So you can see the kind of diagram and basic element is a need. We gotta know the need, and then maybe there's really why we need, and then we gotta sometimes persuade and sometimes follow the rational logic and what about, and there's a need, and we gotta communicate with the parents and schools and districts, right? And then okay, we kind of we have agreement and kind of initial acceptance, right? That is acceptance, and then we take it and implant, and then we gotta implant and what, and going and establish is we called what institutionalization, and the programs are going and continue. Yeah, that is a change matrix, right? So maybe you can use here is some specific activities and then factors and timelines. So Dr. Print is kind of suggested, and then there is need when start with needs and next and moving to adoption and implementation and then institutionalization. Now we can see the kind of the table in the book. So what kind of activity you need, and so first of all, I already told you kind of activities, and then what about the maybe the factors we gotta consider, and then what about we gotta enhance the factors, and there's a timeline is need is very short term to medium, you gotta figure it out, and how can we process, and then what about adoption is kind of really quick after initiation process, right? That's the first stage and second stage, and then implementation is a short to long term, perhaps kind of maybe longer, maybe incomplete, and industrialization is kind of is moving toward to long term, right? Depends on the effect of implementations. Yeah, there is a kind of table there you can see, and today I don't have the PowerPoint I cannot show you. Maybe we need to go. Maybe I think say everything is understandable, and then it's maybe it's better go over the enhancing factors and what is the need. When you think about need phase, and then what is the enhancing factors, and what is you gotta think about, and how can you make successful when you consider these factors, and then what about the vision? It's a shared vision. It's not just a developer vision, school's vision and the teacher's vision. It's really active advocates and really understand by parents, understand by teachers, and then district, and right? What about the agendas that school has it? What about the agendas that local community has it, right? And then maybe need the broader and further, so what is the kind of society need? That is a kind of factors that we think about in need phase, and what about adoption phase, and then we got to think about factors, and then we think about still all the factors like in need phase, and quality of innovations. What kind of quality we can get is really fit the local setting, and it really is a fit our values, and it's really valuable. Adoption period, and then maybe we gotta think about that one. Other than that, they're not gonna accept, right? Always think their context, school context and local context. And implementation, not just you can do it, but because I want to talk about that also, leadership. Leadership is really important. Evaluation done, and we needed to change, and how can we implement? If we don't have a strong leadership commitment, and then we cannot do it. Maybe sometime take how long? We don't know. If a strong leadership and with others, active help and participation and engagement, and then we can finish it quick. But depends on the leadership style, and depends on leaders' passion, right? And there's another thing is that shared control. Who's the control this one? Mean that we can share the responsibility, right? Not just someone's command and control. Reward for the participant. Maybe teachers spend a lot of extra time. How can you reward? How can we appreciate the local volunteers? Right? And still think about peer support and from the others like this, and that's some kind of important factors. What about the phase of institutionalization phase? Institutionalization phase is still strong leadership needed, and then leadership can keep leading and what? So the school support, institutional support is needed, organization support and school support. And then what else? We need resources, maybe sometimes finance, other things, right? And maybe there is, in-service mean that we're gonna re-educate teachers for what we are doing, what was our expecting outcomes, and what you needed to do, like in-service step, and remove the competing activities. How can you make this one effective? And there's other competing kind of elements there, activities, and just remove for this one, right? There's we needed to do the enhance factors. How can we increase and kind of make more successful in curriculum changes? There is a changing strategy, and then print shows 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 kind of strategy already published. I know it's it's old one, but still there's still we can think about, and a lot of things are still based on their theories. And then here is rational and persuasive and power. There's a three components there. And then print kind of introduced the empirical as a Chin's 1967, and empirical rational and persuasive normative, re-educative, and then power coercive. Think about the strategy is it's really rational, it's logical. How can we draw the kind of participation? What about the level of power? Right? And here is basic, mirrors really focus on problem process, and then rational attitude and power solution, and Chin's there is an empirical rational mean that people really followed their ration and logic. So really appeal to their logic. So a lot of this is innovation kind of they want to use this change innovation is like kind of really see the kind of inherent, what is the inherent value of the changing, right, in themselves, what they have. And so people willing to kind of adopt, and then by the experience and by the rational process, and then that is the kind of really reasonable expectation, and that's a really way that people really want to adopt a change. What about normative and educative strategy? This is the persuasion process, and then sometimes it's a logical process. It doesn't work. But how can you overcome this process? And how can you convince the teachers? And that is the way, the normative and re-educative way. And then these strategies are concerned about changing people, especially their perception educations. How? So this is really about how can communicate with teachers, and then maybe sometimes it doesn't work with empirical rational kind of approach, and then they kind of call the teachers, and then you gotta re-educate what we are doing, what we are expecting, right? That is just a really important thing, though. Here is coming towards changing agent is really important. So part of it, and then if they know what's going on and provide the resources and directions, and then responsibility, and then they can calculate whether they can do or not, right? That's normative, re-educative. And what about power aspect? And depends on power coercive, and then if you have a power, and what happens? What happened? Sometimes, and just think about rational way and then persuasive way and try to encourage teachers and then try to draw the teachers' heart and then school people's imagination heart and then but it didn't work and then people wanna use the power core power. So pushing, take or not. If you wanna take it, if you don't wanna take it, leave like this. Other than that, sometimes and they punished it. Usually that one is a top down, right? But nowadays, like this one is still there is like a leadership in the world, and then you could see that the countries who operate by the dictators, and then power is really big things to control people. Sometimes organization too, though, still, right? But just think about a lot of people try to encourage democratic participant and responsibility like that, and then try to avoid, but still, people want to use the power, and then maybe think about how can we reward people. Even though you push the people without anything, and then sometimes people don't move, but if there is a reward, and then even though sometimes you don't like it, but there is a specific direction and criteria, and then reward is there, and then maybe they can do it. So there is changing strategy and depends on and pretty kind of sure about those chains theory, and maybe there's other theories there, but if you are interested, and then you can Google it, right? How they think about this one. Depends on the how you think and which one looks like the best for the context of change, and maybe you can use it. But if you wanna use a kind of strategy, and then especially you choose, and then you gotta see what you have. Resources, especially leadership, right? And what kind of resource, and who's gonna be an agent? We gotta think about it. There is a change agent. Change agent who come motivate the people to change, and then try to achieve what they expecting, right? Changing agent is really important. So here is so based on the previous model, and then rational, empirical, and normative re-educative and power concursive model, the chains, and then here is the agent figures, and the rational adapter sees a personal gain in chain, right? Kind of national adapters see that the personal gain in chain. That's rational. So information for teachers to understand innovation. So you gotta see that one. And how the agents, as you can see, if they adopted this one, and then what's the benefit for them. And what about examples and that? So he provided daily physical educations and follow the logic, and a lot of students is kind of struggling with overweight, and then how can you help them to stay in shape. So rational, empirical model, ways the advantage, the commitment of the student is very, very high, because it makes sense, right? And it should really, because it really emphasize logics, and speak straightforward and really consistent with the nature of the teaching, because follow the logic. And it shows that success rate is high, right? That is a kind of advantage of the rational empirical chain, kind of agent's role. And then, but what about disadvantage is time consuming, and sometimes haphazard adoption and costly. That's a disadvantage for these models. And but if it doesn't work, rational and what is a normative re-educative kind of take what is a figure of the agent is what manipulate teacher attitude and values to produce change. It's not a, but maybe we said, what is authenticity, maybe, right? Agent, do it, and then use groups and persuasive communication. That's really important things, and that's the agent roles and what is examples and what gender equality and school effectiveness and collaborative planning and school council like this, and they like see what's going on and what is this a part of their life related, right? And then see, and then how the agent kind of re-educate, and they can, how can they draw the attentions? What about the advantages of commitment? Commitment of staff is really needed and really high success within groups, not individuals. But disadvantages of time consuming is there. Time consuming and group difficulties and incomplete adoption, survey cost, and that is sometimes very successful, but how can we group? It's not easy, right? What about power? And agents can maybe use the kind of power, control rewards and punishment, regulate teachers' behavior, and ultimately sanction is power. Maybe they can give them reward, sometimes sanctions, like punishment. The agent can do it. And so maybe that one is kind of it's really examples of open area schools, maybe better school in certain area and most, just think about it's hard to control, and then that kind of environment, and then you gotta do something, right? That's a core thing. But if you have power, and then maybe just teachers follows, and then what? Speed of change is there. That's a good advantage. Order and follow is pretty easy. And everything is calculated and just not here and there, and then cost-wise it's gonna be not expensive, right? And just the core, power is coming involved, and then there is no other opinion, agenda, and just uniformity is there. Just moving forward quickly. But like other countries, and then like Iran now, and then there's a resistance innovations, and developing internal dissensions, lack of commitment by teachers. That's a kind of disadvantages. And think about the change agent. is very important, right? It's very important. Who's gonna be a change important between and student and between the developer who made the aims and goals and objectives, right? Yeah, there is a changing agent is based on the model, the Chin's model, and then he provides some idea about how can we do, maybe his experience. And nature of the innovation, what is the nature of innovation? It's a new idea about, it's a new object or idea or practice that perceived by participant in the change process. So process by which the object and idea and practice becomes adopted, right? So new ideas coming and then how can this new idea is adopted? That's innovation, right? Innovation process. So when we do innovation, and then we gotta think about how can we make it effective, successful. Same. His ways always give them some strategy and idea about how can we do. But it's not maybe the context is his context of Australia, it's not America, right? But still he used kind of information and then kind of try to give some idea, right? So think about innovation is always multi-dimensional nature and object and idea and practice. It's not so unitary kind of nature, right? So multi-dimensional nature. So we gotta consider that one and focus on different aspects. How can we change and how can we influence? And then it is being perceived as new by each other. It's new, right? So innovation is like a revolution, and sometimes it doesn't work, and by powers can demolish everything. But you gotta know that innovation itself is kind of new, right, to the adopters. But the innovation process is what? Really, really process-oriented. It's not a coming outcome. So you got innovation is coming up. You really emphasize the process. It's not outcome oriented, right? That is kind of characteristic of innovation. And then another one is intentional improvement. Why do we innovate certain things? Why wanna change certain things? What? We wanna improve. We wanna make better. We want to be effective curriculum. That's why. That's the nature of innovations. Remember that, right? It's not a simple thing. Sometimes they relate to others, and it's in multiple dimensions, and then it's new. And really, process is not outcome. Process oriented. Meaning that you can do little by little. If you really focus on the outcome, and you cannot, maybe sometimes without process, maybe you can kind of take on little things, drop in school, and I don't know how long take it to digest the whole things, right? So just think about it. There is innovation itself, and then there is a kind of ideas is there, and then ideas is developed, right? Ideas developed, and there's a diffusion process, and diffusion process is neutral, right? And then word mouth to mouth and go, and then people hear about and adopt. That is a basic process that innovation is. We think about innovations, and then there is what's the nature. So there's a basic nature, but he kind of differentiate with the characteristic innovations from the one nature. So he said couple of there is several kind of characteristics of innovations. And what's innovation? Because if we try to change the curriculum, that's probably new, right? We're going to change it to new. That's why we're going to talk about the innovation. So if we don't just put it there and then without any kind of pre-knowledge of and strategy and preparation, and another chaos is there, right? So we got to know what's innovation, and then we got to know those nature and characteristics, and then here is a relatively advantages. First of all, relative advantage is that one is going to extend, the extent which is innovating is perceived to more advantages to the user. So relatively is advantage to the other one, and then existing idea and object, and then practice, they're gonna take it. So you're gonna see the one relative advantage compared to existing one. Existing one is still good, but relatively, so new idea is better than this one. It's easier. That's the characteristic of innovations. Supposed to be better, right? That's the relative advantage. And then what's the comparabilities? Maybe innovation is a new ideas and new object, a new practice, but still it's compatible with existing one. Existing values and past experience and present needs is consistent with the past one, existing one. It's not compatible one, it's totally new one, but it's not easy, right? That's why compatibility is really important. Maybe even though society changing, it's not a maybe revolution, maybe changing quickly, but it takes time. Changing takes time, right? It's not a 1 month work, 1 year work. Maybe by power, maybe coercion, you can do something, and then but superficially, but actually it takes time, right? So high levels of the compatibility mean that it's compatible with old one, but it's really new idea and more benefit in the work. People kind of that is going to enhance the sense of security with the individual in the changing context, and then maybe feel like this is less risky, but we're going to get more benefit, right? So they're willing to do it. That's the innovations. The compatibility is a very important characteristic. What about complexity? And if innovation is innovation is perceived too complex, it's not profitable. It's not and then potential adopter will avoid innovation. Just think about you gotta say not too complicated, and then they see that, oh, it's doable compared with the others, right? Kind of a, yeah, comparability, but still, yeah, not, yeah, it's a perception is really important though by kind of adopters, right? And adopters say, oh, yeah, we can do it, and they can do it, but it maybe too complex, and then it's too hard, and yeah, too hard, and they're not gonna do it. They're not gonna adopt it, right? So that's why complexity is a really important character. Triability means that, okay, it's a really cogent, and then it's reasonable, and then lot of benefit, and then see that the complexity, oh, maybe you can try. That is a triability. Wow, it's a really good idea, but I think so we don't have any resources, and I think so we don't have many ability about related to that one, so how can we do that? And they're not gonna try. Right? And people say the plausibility is there, and wow, it's possible, and that kind of persuasion is there. People are not willing to try, but when they try and too complicated, they're not gonna try, right? What about the communication? The communication is really important. It's really important. So how can we deliver towards the new idea, object, and practice to the teachers? And logically and practically, and how can we kind of communicate with adopters? Yeah, it's really important, right? So communication is really important. So that is when we change the curriculums, and then we gotta kind of think about innovations, right? Usually we talk about the diffusion and disseminate kind of method, and there's no other. There's a lot of methods out there to change something, and we focus on the diffusion and also dissemination theories, and with innovation. So basically, we gotta. He said that what is innovation, and know the characteristic of innovation, know what is the nature of innovation. So that's why if we don't know, understand, and then also our context, and also the adopter's context, and then it's hard to innovate a new idea, right? Implant new idea to the adopters. So this one is kind of about how can we how can we adopt, how can we kind of change the curriculums, and implement, right? Implant changes, and then how can you process? And that is kind of a whole process that curriculum development, what we need, and then that's the last one. So we evaluated, and we had a recommendation statement, and how can we event? If it's a newly one, and then how can we go back, and then how can we this existing one, and then we gotta innovate. And then the programs, the curriculum is coming as like it's 5 years, 6 years already, and then settled, and then we by through the with evaluation, and then okay, we need to kind of make it effective. very effective because society changing and we gotta make more relevant because society changes and then yeah we gotta adjust, right? That's the we have to behind or put the words all the curriculum behind and you gotta pick up the new object and practice and idea to the old curriculum. That's the process of what we need and we study about what is the kind of natures and characters. And we're gonna talk about the changing theories and agents. Okay, so I think that we basically go over what we need, covered from the books, and then maybe in practical ways, maybe different from a lot, maybe sometimes longer, sometimes shorter than books, but still the class is coming, whatever object is coming, know the whole process, how it goes, and what kind of element you need for their curriculum development, right? So I think that we cover the whole process of the curriculum development. So maybe you guys feel like too much theories maybe seems like, but I already attached a lot of practical things. How can they develop a program? It's a very practical way, and then maybe you can see and read these principles, and probably there is a little bit different, but still we can see how much the principle that we are talking about and reflect in the curriculum. And then it's easy if you read and then they are concerned about what is educational content, what is educational content, what is academics, what is humanistic and content, what is you can see the all kind of stuff on you can check out and this is a pretty good curriculum development design and not, and you can see that one, right? And then I hope that with the kind of I don't have time to read the article that I gave you, and then but still it's really good for you guys. And then I think I attached maybe I attached the address, and maybe you can see that one. And then if you have more questions, and then just let me know. As the even class is over, and then